How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, July 31st, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Friday, July 30th, and of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Starting in our nation's capital, the Washington Nationals, the 2019 World Series champs, hosted the Chicago Cubs just after unloading their entire core from the 2016 World Series, except for Wilson Contreras. And in this matchup, the Nats would beat the Cubs 4-3. For the Chicago Cubs, in this matchup, the start and the loss went to Jake Arrieta. Arrieta allowed 2 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 3. The former Cy Young winner is now 5-10 on the season with this loss. In the Cubs lineup, their center fielder, Rafael Ortega, would end up going 2-for-4 with an RBI and a run for himself. The only other player on the team with more than one hit was their shortstop, Sergio Alcantara. He went 2-for-4 with a run on the day. For the Washington Nationals, the start and the win went to Paolo Espino. Espino allowed 1 earned run in 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out 6. With his win, he's 3-2 on the year. The save would end up going to the Nationals closer, Kyle Finnegan. Finnegan allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he picked up his second save of the year. In their batting lineup, their catcher for the day, Tres Barrera, would go 2-for-4. Their third baseman, Carter Kieboom, would go 2-for-3 with a run for the day. And with this win, the Washington Nationals are now 48-55. That is the 4th best record in the National League East as they've won 4 of their last 10. They now trail the New York Mets by 6.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Chicago Cubs are now 50-55. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central. They've now lost their last 4 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. At the moment, they now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 12.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Pirates hosted their in-state rivals, the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Pirates would pull off a 7-0 home shutout as they held the entire Phillies team to 1 hit all game. For the Philadelphia Phillies in this matchup, the start and the loss went to Vince Velasquez. Vince Velasquez would allow 5 earned runs in 2 innings pitched as he struck out a batter. With this loss, he's 3-6 on the season. In their batting lineup, the only player with a hit was their third baseman, Alec Bohm, as he went 1-for-4. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, the start and the win went to Will Crowe. Will Crowe would allow no earned runs and only 1 hit in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this win, he's 3-5 on the year. In the Pirates batting lineup, their left fielder, Ben Gamel, will go 2-for-5 with a run. Their third baseman, Ke'Bryan Hayes, would end up going 2-for-5 with an RBI and a run. Their center fielder, Brian Reynolds, would go 2-for-5 with an RBI and a run. And then their right fielder, Gregory Polanco, would go 2-for-3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. And additionally, their shortstop for the day, Kevin Newman, would end up going 2-for-4 with 2 RBIs. With this win, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 39-64. That is the worst record in the National League Central. That is the 2nd worst record in the National League. They've only won 3 of their last 10 games, and at the moment, they now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 22.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Philadelphia Phillies are now 51-52. That is the 2nd best record in the National League East as they've lost 6 of their last 10. They currently trail the New York Mets by 3.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Toronto, the Toronto Blue Jays hosted the Kansas City Royals in Canada before the Blue Jays may have to go all the way back down to Florida with the new restrictions. But for the moment, they hosted the Royals and were able to pull off a 6-4 win at home after scoring 3 of those 6 in the 7th inning. For the Kansas City Royals in this matchup, the start and the loss would end up going to Daniel Lynch. Lynch allowed 3 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 2. With this loss, he's 1-3 on the year. In their batting lineup, their right fielder, Jared Dyson, would end up going 2-for-4 with a run. And then their shortstop, Nicky Lopez, would go 2-for-3 with an RBI and a run. Those are the only 2 players with more than 1 hit. Not to mention their elite catcher, Salvador Perez, would go 1-for-4 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 26th home run of the season. For the Toronto Blue Jays, the start and the win went to Ross Stripling. He allowed 2 earned runs in 5.1 innings pitched as he struck out a batter. With this win, he's 4-6 on the year. The save would end up going to their closer, Jordan Romano. Romano allowed 1 earned run in 1 inning pitch as he struck out a batter. With this save, he now has 9 on the year. In their batting lineup, their center fielder, George Springer, would go 3-for-4 with an RBI and a run. Their all-star shortstop, Bo Bichette, would go 2-for-4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as Bo Bichette hit his 19th home run of the season. With this win, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 52-48. That is the fourth best record in the American League East, as they've won their last 2 games and they've won 4 of their last 10. They now trail the Boston Red Sox by 8.5 games in the division, and they currently trail the Oakland Athletics for the second American League wildcard spot by 4.5 games in that race. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are now 45-57. That is the fourth best record in the American League Central, as they've only lost 2 of their last 10. They now trail the Chicago White Sox by 15 games in the division at the moment. Jumping out to Detroit, the Detroit Tigers in the AL Central hosted the Baltimore Orioles of the AL East, and the Orioles were able to pull off a 4-3 win as they scored all 4 of their runs between the 3rd and 6th innings. The Tigers would score 3 in the 8th, but it just wouldn't be enough. For the Tigers in this matchup, the start and the loss went to Tariq Skubal. Skubal allowed 4 earned runs in 5.2 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this loss, he's 6-10 on the year. In their batting lineup, their future Hall of Fame designated hitter Miguel Cabrera would go 2 for 3 with an RBI. And then their shortstop Harold Castro would go 2 for 2. Additionally, their center fielder Derek Hill would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. For the Baltimore Orioles, the start and the win went to Matt Harvey. He allowed no earned runs in 6 hits allowed and 6.1 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this win, he's 6-10 on the year. The save would go to the Orioles closer, Cole Sulser. Sulser allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out a batter. That would be his 4th save of the year. In the Orioles batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their catcher, Pedro Severino. He went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 7th and 8th home runs of the season yesterday. With this win, the Baltimore Orioles are now 36-66. That is the worst record in the American League East, and that is currently the 2nd worst record in the American League. They've won 6 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Boston Red Sox by 25.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Detroit Tigers are now 50-56. That is the 3rd best record in the American League Central, as they've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They currently trail the Chicago White Sox by 12 games in the division. Jumping out to New York, the National League East leaders, New York Mets, hosted the Cincinnati Reds, and the Reds were able to beat the Mets 6-2 after scoring 3 of those 6 in the 9th inning. For the New York Mets, the start was given to Carlos Carrasco, as that was his debut for the season. Carrasco would allow 1 earned run in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 4. The loss would go to the Mets' first relief pitcher, Miguel Castro. Castro allowed 1 earned run in 1 inning pitch as he struck out a batter. With this loss, he's 2-3. In the Mets batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their second baseman, Jeff McNeil, as he went 2 for 4 with an RBI. For the Cincinnati Reds, the start and the win went to Sonny Gray. He allowed 1 earned run in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 7. With this win, Sonny Gray is now 3-6 on the year. In their batting lineup, their second baseman, Jonathan India, would go 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs as he hit his 9th and 10th home runs of the season yesterday. Their first baseman, Joey Votto, would hit a home run in his 7th straight game, one of the most impressive feat in all of sports history. He would go 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run on the day, and he would go on to hit his 21st home run of the year. With this win, the Cincinnati Reds are now 55-49. That is the 2nd best record in the National League Central, as they've won their last 4 games. They've won 7 of their last 10. They are tied for the best win streak in the National League alongside the Brewers. They now trail the Brewers by 7 games in the division, and at the moment, they now trail the San Diego Padres by 4 games in the wild card race, as they are the first team on the outside looking in the National League side. With this loss, the New York Mets are now 54-48. That is still the best record in the National League East, as they've lost their last 2 games and they've lost 5 of their last 10. At the moment, they sit 3.5 games ahead of the second place Philadelphia Phillies in the division, and they are currently holding the 3rd seed in the National League behind the San Francisco Giants out west and the Milwaukee Brewers of the NL Central. Jumping out to Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Rays hosted the division leaders, the Boston Red Sox. And in this matchup, the Rays would bring themselves a game closer as they beat the Red Sox 7-3, scoring all 7 of their runs in the first 5 innings. After the 5th inning, there were no runs scored. For a little bit more, just to further what I said and double down what I said on it. For the Boston Red Sox in this matchup, the start and the loss will go to Martin Perez. Perez would allow 6 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, he's 7-7. In their batting lineup, their all-star shortstop Xander Bogaerts would go 2 for 5 with 2 runs. And then their catcher Christian Vázquez would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. Not to mention their third baseman Jonathan Arauz sorry if I butchered the name, would end up going 2 for 3 on the day. For the Tampa Bay Rays, the defending American League champs, the start in the win was given to Josh Fleming. Josh Fleming allowed 3 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 7. With this win, he's 8-5. In the Rays batting lineup, their elite right fielder, Randy Arozarena, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 14th home run of the year. Their elite designated hitter, Nelson Cruz, would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their third baseman, Yandy Diaz, would go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 7th home run of the season. Their elite shortstop, Wander Franco, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run for himself. And with this win, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 62-42. That is the second best record in the American League East as they've won their last 2 games and they've won 7 of their last 10. They currently trail the Boston Red Sox by half a game in the division, and they are currently holding on to the top American League wildcard spot, sitting 3.5 games ahead of the second place Oakland Athletics. With this loss, the Boston Red Sox are 63-42. That is still the best record in the American League East as they've lost their last 2 games and they've lost 4 of their last 10. They currently sit half a game ahead of the second place Tampa Bay Rays in the division, and they are holding on to the second seed in the American League, sitting behind the Houston Astros of the West and sitting in front of the Chicago White Sox of the Central. Jumping out to Miami, the Miami Marlins hosted the New York Yankees for this interleague matchup, and the Yankees would beat the Marlins 3-1. As they scored 2 of their 3 runs in the top of the 8th inning, thanks to a 2-run single from Rougned Odor. For the Miami Marlins in this matchup, the start and the loss was given to Zach Thompson. Zach Thompson allowed 1 earned run in 5.2 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this loss, he's 2-4 on the year. In their batting lineup, their center fielder, Magneuris Sierra, will go 2 for 4 on the day. And then their second baseman, Jazz Chisholm, will go 2 for 4 with a run. For the New York Yankees, the start and the win went to Jameson Taillon. He allowed no earned runs and only 5 hits in 5.2 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this win, he's 7-4 on the year, and save number 21 will go to their closer, Aroldis Chapman. Chapman allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out a batter. With this save, he now has 21 on the year, like I just said. And in the Yankees batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their new first baseman, Anthony Rizzo. He went 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs as he hit his 15th home run of the season. And with this win, the New York Yankees are now 54-48. That is the third best record in the American League East as they've won 6 of their last 10 games. They currently trail the Boston Red Sox by 7.5 games in the division, and right now they trail the Oakland Athletics by 3.5 games for the second AL wildcard spot. With this loss, the Miami Marlins are now 44-59. That is the worst record in the National League East. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10, as they are holding on to the third worst record in the National League. At the moment, they now trail the New York Mets by 10.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Atlanta, the Atlanta Braves hosted the NL Central leading Milwaukee Brewers, and the Brewers were able to score 8 runs in between the 3rd and 4th innings to beat the Braves 9-5 after the Braves scored 4 runs in the first inning. For the Atlanta Braves, the start and the loss went to Touki Toussaint. He allowed 7 earned runs in 3.1 innings pitched as he struck out 5. With this loss, he's 1-2 on the year, and in their batting lineup, their right fielder, Jock Peterson, would go 3 for 5 at the run, and their elite second baseman, Ozzie Albies, would go 2 for 5 on the day. For the Milwaukee Brewers, the start went to their all-star starting pitcher, Corbin Burns. He allowed 5 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 6. The win for Milwaukee will go to their first relief pitcher, Brad Boxberger. Brad Boxberger allowed no earned runs in 2 innings pitched as he struck out a batter. With this win, Boxberger is 4-2. In their batting lineup, their second baseman, Colton Wong, will go 3 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their shortstop, Willy Adames, will go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 17th home run of the season. Their right fielder, Avisail Garcia, would end up going 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 18th home run of the season. And with this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 62-42. That is the best record in the National League Central as they've won their last 4 games and they've won 7 of their last 10. They currently sit 7 games ahead of the second place Cincinnati Reds in their division as they're holding on to the second seed in the National League behind the Giants out west and the Mets out east. With this loss, the Atlanta Braves are now 51-53. That is the third best record in the National League East, as they've lost 5 of their last 10 games. At the moment, they trailed the New York Mets by 4 games in the division. Jumping out to Dallas, the Texas Rangers hosted the Seattle Mariners, and the Mariners were able to pull off a 9-5 road win after scoring 7 of their 9 in the second and third innings. For the Texas Rangers, the start and the loss went to Colby Allard. Allard would go on to allow 7 runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, he's 2-9 on the year. In their batting lineup, their center fielder, Adolis Garcia, in his final game for the Rangers, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. He hit his 23rd home run of the season. Their first baseman, Nate Lowe, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI as well. And then their left fielder, who in this matchup was Jason Martin, would end up going 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. He would hit his second home run of the season for Texas. For the Seattle Mariners, the start and the win went to Logan Gilbert. He allowed 4 earned runs in 5.2 innings pitched as he struck out 6. With this win, he's 5-2 on the year. In their batting lineup, their second baseman, Abraham Toro, would end up going 3 for 5 with 2 runs. And then their center fielder, Jared Kelenic, would end up going 2 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his third home run of the season. With this win, he's now 56-48. That's the third best record in the American League West, as they've won 6 of their last 10 games. They now trail the Houston Astros by 8 games in the division at the moment, and they currently trail the Oakland Athletics by 2.5 games in the American League wildcard race, as the Mariners are the first team on the outside of the picture looking in. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are now 36-67. That is the worst record in the American League East and the worst record in the American League. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 9 of their last 10. At the moment, they now trail the Astros by 27.5 games, to give a sense of what the gap in the American League is between the worst and the best team record-wise. Jumping out to Chicago, the Chicago White Sox hosted the Cleveland Indians, and in this matchup, the White Sox would break the 4-4 tie in the bottom of the 8th thanks to an RBI single from Tim Anderson. And then after Jose Abreu was hit by a pitch, the White Sox would double their score in that inning to run away with the win. For the Cleveland Indians in this matchup, the start was given to J.C. Mejia. J.C. Mejia allowed 4 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched as he struck out 2. The loss would go to the Indians' penultimate relief pitcher, James Karinchak. James Karinchak would allow 2 earned runs without registering a single out, and with this loss, he's 7-3 on the year. In their batting lineup, their designated hitter, Franmil Reyes, would go 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 20th home run of the season. He was the only player on the Indians with more than 1 hit. For the Chicago White Sox, the start went to their ace, Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn allowed 3 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 7. The win would go to their penultimate relief pitcher, Jose Ruiz. Ruiz would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out a batter. The save would go to their elite closer, Liam Hendriks. He allowed no earned run in 1 inning pitch as he struck out 2. Liam Hendriks now has 26 saves on the season. In the White Sox batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Tim Anderson, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI. Their newest second baseman, Cesar Hernandez, would end up going 2 for 5 with a run after getting moved from the Phillies. Their third baseman, Yoan Moncada, will go 3 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs as he hit his 9th home run of the season. And with this win, the Chicago White Sox are now 61-43. That is the best record in the American League Central, as they've only won 4 of their last 10 games. They currently sit 9 games ahead of the second-place Cleveland Indians in the division, and they are currently holding on to the 3rd seed in the American League, behind the Astros out west and the Red Sox out east. With this loss, the Cleveland Indians are now 50-50. That is the second-best record in the American League Central, as they've lost 7 of their last 10. They now trail the Chicago White Sox by 9 games in the division. Jumping out to St. Louis, the St. Louis Cardinals hosted the Minnesota Twins in this interleague matchup, and the St. Louis Cardinals will pick up a 5-1 win after scoring 3 of their 5 runs in the 6th inning in this comeback win. For the Minnesota Twins, the start was given to Griffin Jax. Griffin Jax would allow 1 earned run in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 2. The loss for Minnesota would go to their first relief pitcher, Tyler Duffy. He allowed 3 earned runs in the next inning as he pitched 1 inning, and he struck out a batter. With this loss, he's 2-3 on the year. In the Twins batting lineup, their second baseman, Jorge Polanco, will go 3 for 5. And then their third baseman, Williams Astudillo, will go 3 for 4 as well. And their third player with 3 hits would be their shortstop, Andrelton Simmons, who went 3 for 4 with an RBI. There are only 3 players with hits, and all 3 of them had 3 hits, which is a very interesting feat. For the St. Louis Cardinals in this matchup, the start was given to Wade LeBlanc. He allowed 1 earned run in 5.2 innings pitched as he struck out 3. The win was given to the Cardinals' first relief pitcher, Ryan Helsley. Ryan Helsley would allow no earned runs in 1.1 inning pitches. He struck out 2. With this win, he's 6-4 on the year. In their batting lineup, their elite first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, would go 2 for 3 with 2 runs, and their elite third baseman, Nolan Arenado, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI for himself. With this win, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 52-51. That is the third best record in the National League Central. They've won 6 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 9.5 games in the division. And with this loss, the Minnesota Twins are now 43-61. That is the worst record in the American League Central and the third worst record in the American League. They've lost their last 3 games. They've lost 7 of their last 10. And at the moment, the Minnesota Twins now trail the Chicago White Sox by 18 whole games in the division. Jumping out to Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels hosted the Oakland Athletics, and the Athletics would shut the Angels out 2-0, despite the Angels having more hits on the day than them. For the Los Angeles Angels, the start and the loss went to Patrick Sandoval. He allowed 1 earned run in 5.2 innings pitched as he struck out 6. With this loss, he's 3-5 on the year. In the Angels lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their left fielder, Justin Upton, as he went 2 for 4. For the Oakland Athletics, the start and the win was given to Chris Bassett. Chris Bassett would allow no earned runs and 6 hits allowed in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 7. With this win, he's 11-3 on the year, and the save went to their closer, Lou Trevino. When Lou Trevino allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitch, he picked up his 17th save of the year. And in the Oakland Athletics batting lineup, their designated hitter, Jed Lowry, would go 2 for 3 with a run. And the only other player with more than 1 hit was their shortstop, Elvis Andrus, as he went 2 for 2. Additionally, their elite third baseman, Matt Chapman, would go 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 14th home run of the season. With this win, the Oakland Athletics are now 59-46. That is the second best record in the American League West, as they have won their last 3 games and they've won 6 of their last 10. They currently trail the Houston Astros by 5.5 games in the division, and they are currently holding on to the second American League wildcard spot, sitting 3.5 games ahead of the first place Tampa Bay Rays in the wildcard race, and sitting 2.5 games ahead of the Seattle Mariners, who are the first team on the outside looking in. With this loss, the Los Angeles Angels are now 51-52. That is the 4th best record in the American League West, as they've lost their last 2 games and they've lost 5 of their last 10. They now trail the Houston Astros by 12.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks hosted the defending World Series champs, LA Dodgers. And in this game, where the Dodgers completely came back and sent it into extra innings, it would be a walk-off double from Asdrubal Cabrera to give the Diamondbacks their 33rd win of the season. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, the start went to Tony Gonsolin. He allowed 2 earned runs and 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out a batter. The loss would end up going to the Dodgers closer for the day, and this closer ended up being Jimmy Nelson. Jimmy Nelson allowed 1 run in 0.1 inning pitched, and with this loss, he's 1-2. In the Dodgers batting lineup, their all-star second baseman Chris Taylor would go 2 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 17th home run of the season. Their elite shortstop, Corey Seager, would go 2 for 5. And then their right fielder, Billy McKinney, would go 2 for 5 with a run. With this, for the Arizona Diamondbacks, the start went to Zach Gallen. Gallen allowed 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 8. The win went to Arizona's closer for the day, Matt Peacock. Matt Peacock would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched, and with this win, he's now 4-6 on the year. In their batting lineup, their second baseman, Zach Van Meter, would go 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run. Their third baseman, Asdrubal Cabrera, would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, one of them being the game-winning RBI. And with this win, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 33-71. That is the worst record in the National League East, or the National League West. It is the worst record in the National League, and it's the worst record in all of the majors. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10, and at the moment, they now trail the San Francisco Giants by 31.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Los Angeles Dodgers are now 62-43. That is the second best record in the National League West, as they've lost their last 2 games and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They now trail the San Francisco Giants by 3 games in the division, as they are holding on to the top spot in the National League wild card. They sit 2.5 games ahead of the second place San Diego Padres at the moment. Jumping out to San Francisco, the San Francisco Giants, the leaders of the National League West, and the team with the best record in the National League, hosted the Houston Astros, the team that have the best record in the American League and the American League West. In this matchup, the Astros would beat the Giants 9-6. For the Giants in this matchup, the start was given to Kevin Gausman. He allowed 3 earned runs and 4.1 innings pitched as he struck out 9. With this loss, Kevin Gausman is 9-5 on the year. In the Giants batting lineup, their future Hall of Fame catcher Buster Posey would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their right fielder Mike Yastrzemski would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their shortstop Brandon Crawford would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. And their second baseman Donovan Solano will go 2 for 5 with an RBI as well. For the Houston Astros, the start in the win went to their starting pitcher Framber Valdez. He allowed 2 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 6. In their batting lineup, their elite second baseman and former American League MVP Jose Altuve will go 3 for 6 with 5 RBIs and 3 runs. He will go on to finish with hitting his 24th and 25th home runs of the season. Their right fielder Michael Brantley will go 3 for 5 with a run. Their first baseman Yuli Gurriel will go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. And also their third baseman Aldemis Diaz would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. He hit his 4th home run of the season yesterday. With this win, the Houston Astros are now 64-40. That is the best record in the American League West, as they've won their last 3 games and they've won 8 of their last 10. They currently sit 5.5 games ahead of the second place Oakland Athletics in their division, and they are currently holding on to the number 1 seed in the American League, as they have the best record in the league at the moment, sitting ahead of the Red Sox out east and the White Sox in the Central. With this loss, the San Francisco Giants are now 64-39. That is still the best record in the MLB by half a game, as they have the same amount of wins as the Astros, but 1 less loss. With this loss, they have now lost 5 of their last 10 games, but they still sit 3 games ahead of the second place Los Angeles Dodgers in the division, and they are currently holding on to the number 1 seed in the National League, ahead of the Brewers out in the Central and the New York Mets out in the East. Last but not least, jumping out to San Diego. The San Diego Padres hosted the Colorado Rockies, and the Rockies were able to pull off a 9-4 road win, scoring all 9 of their runs in the first 5 innings. For the San Diego Padres, the start and the loss was given to Ryan Weathers. Ryan Weathers allowed 8 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 2, and with this loss, he's 4-3. In their batting lineup, their elite third baseman Manny Machado will go 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 19th and 20th home runs of the season. He was the only player on the team with more than 1 hit. For the Colorado Rockies, however, the start and the win went to John Gray. John Gray would allow 2 earned runs in 6.2 innings pitched as he struck out 4. With this win, he's 7-6 on the year. In their batting lineup, their center fielder Raimel Tapia will go 3 for 5 with a run. Their shortstop Brendan Rodgers would go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run for himself as he hit his 8th home run of the year. Their elite right fielder Charlie Blackmon would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their third baseman Ryan McMahon would go 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 17th home run of the season. And then their left fielder, who in this matchup I believe is Connor Joe, would end up going 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a run. He would hit his 2nd home run of the season. With this win, the Colorado Rockies are now 45-59. That is the 4th best record in the National League West. They've won 4 of their last 10, and they now trail the Giants by 19.5 games in the division. With this loss, the San Diego Padres are now 60-46. That is the 3rd best record in the NL West. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games. They now trail the San Francisco Giants by 5.5 games in the division. Right now, they are sitting with the 2nd National League wildcard spot, as they sit 2.5 games behind the defending World Series champs LA Dodgers, and they sit 4 games ahead of the Cincinnati Reds, who are the first team on the outside looking in. So right now, that is what baseball is looking like at this very moment, as we look forward to what's going on today with today's matchups. At 3:07, Alek Manoah and the Toronto Blue Jays are going to host Mike Minor and the Kansas City Royals in Toronto. Alek Manoah comes into this matchup with a 2-1 record and a 2.90 ERA. At 4:05, Alex Wood and the San Francisco Giants are going to host Zach Greinke and the Houston Astros. Greinke comes into this matchup with a 10-3 record alongside a 3.48 ERA. Alex Wood enters this matchup with a 9-3 record and a 3.65 ERA. At the same time, at 4:05 on FS1, Jaime Barria and the Los Angeles Angels are going to host Cole Irvin and the Oakland Athletics. Cole Irvin comes into this matchup with a 7-9 record and a 3.62 ERA. At 6:10, Matt Manning and the Detroit Tigers are going to host John Means and the Baltimore Orioles. John Means enters this matchup with a 4-3 record and a 2.94 ERA. At the same time, at 6:10, Ryan Yarbrough and the Tampa Bay Rays are going to host Nate Eovaldi and the Boston Red Sox. Eovaldi enters this matchup with a 9-5 record alongside a 3.49 ERA. At the same time, at 6:10, the Miami Marlins are going to host the New York Yankees, led by Domingo Germán. Looking at what's going on at 7:05, the Washington Nationals are going to host Kyle Hendricks and the Chicago Cubs. Kyle Hendricks enters his matchup with a 12-4 record alongside a 3.85 ERA. At the same time, JT Brubaker and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Aaron Nola and the Philadelphia Phillies. Also at 7:05, Taylor Hearn and the Texas Rangers are going to host Tyler Anderson and the Seattle Mariners. At 7:10, Rich Hill and the New York Mets are going to host Wade Miley and the Cincinnati Reds. Wade Miley comes into this matchup with an 8-4 record alongside a 2.86 ERA. Also at 7:10, Dallas Keuchel, the former American League Cy Young winner, and in the Chicago White Sox are going to host Tristan McKenzie and the Cleveland Indians at 7:10 as well. At 7:15, Jake Woodford and the St. Louis Cardinals are going to host Bailey Ober and the Minnesota Twins on FS1. At 7:20, Kyle Muller and the Atlanta Braves are going to host the Milwaukee Brewers, led by their all-star starting pitcher Brandon Woodruff. Brandon Woodruff enters his matchup with a 7-5 record and a 2.14 ERA. Kyle Muller enters his matchup with a 2-3 record alongside a 2.55 ERA thus far in his rookie season. At 8:10, Merrill Kelly and the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to host the defending World Series champs, Los Angeles Dodgers. And after that, last but not least, the San Diego Padres, led by their elite starting pitcher Yu Darvish, are going to host Germán Marquez and the Colorado Rockies. Germán Marquez enters his matchup with an 8-8 record alongside a 3.54 ERA. And Yu Darvish enters his matchup with a 7-5 record alongside a 3.27 ERA. Looking at what's going on in the Olympics to give a chance of what's going on over there. Looking at what's going on with day 7 in the women's individual archery competition, San An from South Korea was able to take the gold. Looking at what's going on with badminton, the mixed doubles gold medal would end up going to China, as they would end up beating the other mixed doubles team from China. So China got gold and silver. Looking at what's going on with canoe and kayak and the men's slalom competition, Yuri Perskovic of the Czech Republic was able to take home the gold. In men's BMX racing, Niek Kimmen of the Netherlands was able to take home the gold in that medal. In women's BMX racing, the gold will go to Bethany Shriver of Great Britain. In fencing, the men's team épée gold medal will go to Japan, as they would beat the Russian Olympic Committee in the final. In judo, men's 100 kilogram, the gold would go to Lukas Kripalik. Sorry if I butchered the name. He's from the Czech Republic, as he was able to beat Goran Tushevili of Georgia in order to take the bronze. The Georgian judo wrestler the judo fighter would end up with the silver medal. In the women's 78 kilogram events, Akira Sone of Japan would take home the gold, as she was able to beat Idalis Ortiz of Cuba. Ortiz was able to take the silver. In rowing competitions, in men's 8, the gold will go to New Zealand. In the women's 8, the gold medal went to Canada. In women's single sculls, the gold medal went to Emma Twigg of New Zealand. Going to the shooting events from yesterday, the women's 25-meter pistol event, gold medal went to Vitalina Batsarashkina of the Russian Olympic Committee. Going to the swimming events, in men's 200-meter backstroke, the gold was given to Evgeny Rylov of the Russian Olympic Committee. In the men's 200 individual medley, the gold went to Shun Wang of China. In the women's 100-meter freestyle, the gold went to Emma McKeon of Australia. The women's 200-meter backstroke went to Tatiana Schoenmaker of South Africa. In the table tennis events, the men's single gold went to Long Ma of China. In actual tennis in the men's doubles, the gold would go to Croatia, as the silver medal went to the other Croatian team. In trampoline, the women's gold would end up going to Zhu Yingzhu of China. In track and field, the men's 1,000-meter gold medal went to Selimon Barega of Ethiopia. And those are the gold medals from at least the 7th day. And of course, because of the time difference, this is the way that I can actually cover what happened in the Olympics, at least the gold medalists. And with that said, Of course, I want to thank the MLB, ESPN, Bleacher Report, and Olympics websites for giving me the stats and figures that I need for this episode. Of course, I want to thank everyone for listening to all 34 minutes of this piece. And once all of today's matchups, events, and exhibitions are done, I will come back tomorrow on Sunday, August 1st for another episode of The Elite. Thanks for sticking around through this entire month of July. I know it's going to take a second to get back. I've just been really behind with posting videos, especially with the summer that I've had, transitioning from just graduating to Duke to just moving into DC and starting my new job. Hopefully hopefully everything's going to get caught up. But with that said, thank you everyone for being patient, and I hope all is well. And like I said, I will come back tomorrow for another episode of The Elite. So until then, thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and don't forget to be elite. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.